Happy Hump Day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. And a little pause there for me at the beginning because I was thought about tossing some sort of jam-packed reference because literally just seconds before starting the show, it occurred to me again that, Andy, is this the best time of the year? I know it's generally now, or you get to September when NFL's kind of in full rush. We have college football, NBA starting. For me, I think it's March, April. That's kind of the best 2 month span. But do you have an opinion on this hot topic?
Especially if it were in this year, temper your expectations a little bit. Opening day, baseball right around the beginning, like that's exciting. That's usually around the time of the Final Four and the Masters as well. Like throwing that in really takes it over the top. I'm not such a big baseball guy that's really got me down. Like I've mentioned in the past, my experience with baseball is that I learned that one of my Bluetooth speakers has capabilities to pick up the radio, like an old radio. And I figured out how to get baseball games on it instead of having to like go and stream from wherever you do. So like I have a
That's
spot where
great.
I put it out in this tree and then I'll listen to the Twins game and I'll pass out in the hammock. That's my experience with baseball. But yes, March, April, solid. A case could be made for November, December because you do have football, college football. You have the start of college basketball. You do have the NBA firing up. You have Christmas Day NBA. You have Boxing Day EPL. Like there's a lot of good stuff. And then October. I mean, it's the equinox. You have the equinox. I mean, that's something you can't shake a stick at that. But no, I mean the main point here is hashtag blessed. Even if you're hashtag stressed, we're hashtag blessed, and we're always
Good
trying to be
stress.
hashtag well dressed
I
because
like that. That's great.
it is great. And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm starting at the end. I'm gonna start at the end. If you're listening to this, that's not gonna make as much sense, especially if you've never seen the show. But on the rundown, the last thing says Champions League. I went 2-0 in the Champions League pretty easily,
Yes, you
actually.
did.
Bayern again. I said Bayern's not in the business of not being out in the knockout rounds. They were a truck. That was like that first half over cashed in 20 minutes.
They have
I
four
think it
goals
was
at half or five.
yeah, hashtag 4 goals at half. I think it was. I don't know. I just turned flash score off. I'm like, oh, this is sad now. Like this is going very poorly for my poor Austrians. But
It's that gift from The
at least
Simpsons of the kid begging you to stop. Just
yeah, he's
stop.
already dead.
He's
But yeah,
already
that was
dead.
nice. And then yeah, the Liverpool boring game, even despite as many good team players they have. Like I was just waiting for that flash score notification. I couldn't
That
watch
was
that game,
awesome.
and it came through. I'm like, oh god. And funny part was Pete. I tried to get Pete to bet it. He said I can't do it. So I got a DM when that came through. He said, "Well," I'm like, I tried. Anyway, the main point here is this has happened numerous times. I said Man City first half -110. They're up like 5-0 at half. These things happen where I have a day where I just crush the UCL. I get overconfident. I get in my head, and then I want to bet it the next day, and it goes so badly every time. Like not even like, oh, you split. It's like two losses by a combined 6 goals. Like it really, really goes poorly for me. So Champions League is on the live chat. You have until the end of the show. So you have like 15, 20 minutes here to come up with plays in Man City and Real, PSG. Those games are 100% on the chat. Whatever the chat consensus
We'll
is, I will
blindly
announce as
follow.
my picks, and I'll play them. I'm going to bet them too. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
will start with again coming up before we get to college hoops, which is not hot. NBA was a sweep last night. It
Pretty
was. It
simple.
was a
Nice and
very good night.
easy. Those Orlando Magic got it done. Avoided overtime. But yes, it was very nice. We had a jam-packed night tonight. 12 games in the association. Again, a lot of basketball going on. While you, Drew, and I will be talking about basketball. If you're make sure you watch the deep dive tonight. We'll talk a little bit about some advanced analytics and stuff. But tonight, 12 games, 4 picks. Again, not quite the hit rate I had yesterday, but a pretty solid
Yeah.
card tonight. I start with the Denver Nuggets, laying 4.5 points, visiting the Sacramento Kings. Again, I have this out closer to 6.5. The Nuggets, have been a little bit of a letdown team against bad teams. There is a few teams every year that kind of play up to their competition and down to their competition. The Nuggets could do this from time to time, but it's a fantastic matchup for them. Jokic is going to do whatever he wants tonight. Rashawn Holmes coming off the bench again. We'll get some time against him, but even Holmes is as good as a defender as he's been these last couple of years. Just doesn't have it here tonight. It should be kind of a blowout spot for the Nuggets. So happy to lay the 4.5. The Pistons plus 5.5. Detroit, a team, you get to the end of the year, some of these teams really embrace the tank, but some of these younger teams actually start to put it together and play better here. And I think given the way they've changed the odds for the ping pong balls, and there's a little bit less difference between being the second, third worst team and being the fourth, fifth worst team. Again, some of these younger teams continue to try to play well. The Detroit Pistons are going to be hosting Andy Chicago Bulls. Again, the Bulls have covered a ton of numbers all year, but again, no Caruso, no Lonzo Ball. This is going to be a real problem for a Pistons team that has some solid guards that can take advantage of that tonight. They have a couple guys who can, try to slow down Levine a little bit. I don't know if Vucevic is going to be available tonight. Again, I have this pretty close, closer to Pistons plus 3, so happy to take 5.5. Bucks Hawks under 239. Going to hold my nose and go under a big number. Overs on big numbers haven't been as good this year as they have in years past, but it's something I try not to let drive decisions. It's more something, a nagging thing in the back of my head. But this game, I honestly struggled to get it up to 232, 233. I started tweaking some stuff. You look at this matchup here. The Hawks have been playing better. They're fully healthy. The offense has been better since they've kind of reorganized things a little bit, starting to bring Bogdanovich off the bench a little. This should be a solid, slow matchup. Again, when these teams play, it has a little bit more of a playoff feel to it. The Bucks here, kind of a tough schedule spot for them. That's maybe my only concern. Maybe the Bucks let up a little bit here. This game gets out of hand, but 239, just a huge number for me. I'm happy to go under that. And then the Utah Jazz, we're going to go to the team total over here instead of laying a whole bunch of points like we did last night with the Bucks. The Jazz are 18-point favorites hosting what's left of the Portland Trailblazers. Just an astounding number that, again, is actually pretty close. I came out to pretty much rate that. Actually, minus 19, I think, is what I came up with. But instead of that, the Jazz, I have them at 123, almost 124 points here, which, again, it's a little bit of a bigger edge. And I'm worried that maybe my numbers aren't as solid when you have kind of an outlier case like this. It's so hard to figure out what a game looks like with this. Is Utah really going to come out and give their best effort? They are at home, so I think they're more likely to see that. But Jazz team total over 119. Again, if you want to have some fun, lay the 18 points. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, that's like college basketball level stuff, like an 18-point favorites. And you laid a big one the other day, and you were regretting it partway through the game. They were sitting kind of right on the number when you were whining to me. You're like, why didn't I just bet this team total as they were sitting? And I looked, and I see 90 points and 6 minutes left. And in your head, just for some reason that registers around, 6 minutes left. They can probably score another 15, 18 points, somewhere like that. I'm like, I feel like it was higher. And then I'm like, oh, it's the third quarter. Jesus Christ. Like, they are absolutely trucking. Then I did mention that there was a lot of teams that were in spots to drop a shitload of points yesterday. A bunch of teams scored. You know what? They scored more points on their own than the total of the Old Dominion game today. So that is my segue into some college hoops. Yeah, rough one yesterday. I was almost looking at Wilmington to go to overtime and ruin that one under I got home, and obviously probably lose in overtime too, because I had them. I forgot that was a final. I had a couple finals yesterday in my conference preview stuff. Like, I had Wilmington in the finals as an 11-1 dog. Like, I probably should have hedged that time, especially there were spots live where they were leading. I could have got the other team at even money or better. So I don't really hedge. I like to ride those out. Those aren't big bets. It's fun. My South Dakota State Jackrabbits were able to punch a ticket. They took out NDSU. I made a case for maybe an NDSU rollover, but I said, if you're going to bet it outright, it kind of just has to be the Jackrabbits. They are now 21 straight conference games in a row they've won with those 3. So it'd be cool to see them actually get a win in the tournament. I think they're 0-5 all time. But today we do have some more conference tournament action as a few more things do fire up. I have more previews. You see, I've been tweeting them. If you go on this YouTube page, I have some short videos that we're also putting over in the BetSperts app if you have any interest in getting basically all the info about a tournament in like 120 seconds. Those are nice. I like to keep it real brief, Micro Machines guy style. If anyone remembers that guy from those commercials, God, I'm dating myself. Alex knows. Alex knows.
I
And yes, the
do. Now we're
Hartford
both
Hawks
dating
do.
ourselves.
Hartford Hawks do play. I took Hartford at 95-1 in that tournament because Vermont was like -7, 800 to win the tournament. I said that I draw the line there. I can't lay that kind of chalk. But yes,
You love
tonight
fading Vermont. It's a tradition like no other.
they've always got me too. I think the one year I did get on Vermont was the year they were upset. So the America East continues to be a thorn in my side. But today we'll head to a few different conferences here with Old Dominion under, Abilene under, Colgate under, and then McNeese over. I'll go over those with a little more detail. Old Dominion under 126.5. This is a nice low one. Some of these are going to be so low, especially you go look at this Colgate total. That's super low too. That's a conference final, I do believe. That's another preview I had. I said I have to bet Colgate. They're just so much better than everybody else. Shit's not gonna fly. They're just gonna beat everyone. It's how life goes for this team. So Colgate, I believe, is a final. Abilene is an opening round game for the Southland. I think that is starting later tonight. That is under 132.5, under 127 for Colgate, and under 126 for Old Dominion. So stiff rims, bad shots, free throws that miss, no fouls, lots of charging calls. We want the ball always heading the other way. Turnovers, slips, long possessions, lots of things to keep these under. And then
Lots
the
of
one,
dribbling.
yeah, lots of
Lots of
dribbling.
getting set. Like that in
Let's
college. You run 5, 6 seconds off the clock. Let's get everybody get set here.
let's get the offense settled. Let's get set, and then let's set up a play, guys. No need to let's coach. What's my coach's name from Hoosiers? Boy,
Oh, Jesus. I can only think of a Gene Hackman. I can only think
yeah, I
of his
just want
real
to say
name.
Gene Hackman. I can't think.
Coach
Someone will
Gene
come up with
Hackman.
Coach Gene Hackman.
I should know this, but
Four passes before we shoot, guys. We need to do that. Coach, I almost said Coach Carter. That's just a whole different movie. Now I just
Coach
have the drunk guy in
Norman.
my head. Coach
Norman
Normandale.
Dale.
Normandale.
There you
Coach
go.
Dale. All right, Abilene, excuse me, McNeese over 154.5 is the only other one. No sides today, just totals. I was dangerously close to betting LaSalle. If you do want to bet a side and you need an early game, it's now Noops. I get it. It's a bad team. Your Explorers are horrible, but it's a play-in game against another really bad team. Like these
We've had
teams have
success
like
in playing games, and it's it's a cross Philadelphia matchup, Andy. I didn't realize we were playing St. Joe's. This is a
yeah
matchup of
these
two schools that are about 30 minutes away from each other and generally enjoy a very mediocre rivalry as a second tier Philadelphia basketball schools.
yeah I think if you took all the wins from those two, you definitely wouldn't equal Nova. Hell, no, not even. You wouldn't even get to Temple, and I think Temple's like a middle of the pack team out in the AAC, which starts tomorrow. That's another good one I'm going to have. So, yeah, LaSalle. If you really want some action, I'll probably tickle that because I like to cheer for the Explorers. But just those four, and then like I said, conference tournament previews. Four of them out already. I just have to tweet a couple. They're all live on the site. All the videos are live too. I went through the Atlantic 10 and ended up landing on Davidson. It's kind of a Davidson Dayton. Pick one of those two. Despite there being some second tier teams in there that I like quite a bit, ended up playing on Davidson. The Big Sky was the one where somebody quote or pulled part of my article and put it on Twitter where I said hot nasty speed. I like Northern Colorado. They don't play any defense. It's just if we're going to score 100 points on you, and they did their semifinal matchup against Southern Utah. They played twice this year, and they scored 191. I don't think either game went to overtime either. They can absolutely truck you on offense. So I like them at plus 550. I know a lot of homers just in my little circle of degens in the Mountain West. Like Jay Creer is a big Colorado State guy. You've got Champ up in Wyoming. David Demand though. David's an SDSU guy. So I was gonna piss somebody off with this one, but I did go with SDSU in the Mountain West. That's an incredibly hard bracket to pick out. I almost just said fuck the top four teams and went with UNLV because they're playing at home and they're probably the fifth best team, maybe fifth or sixth. So number wasn't quite big enough. Went with SDSU, and then the SWAC is anybody's guess. That is a disaster of a conference. If you didn't know the seeds and you didn't look at the lines, there is zero chance anybody would be able to tell me at the end of the game if it was an upset or not. And I'm just like, you can't. Like nobody can tell you who the best teams in the SWAC are really. And the fact is they cut the bottom 3 or 4 out, so it's just the top 8 teams, and there's not a big gap there. In fact, I went through it and I looked at it. The higher seed, I tweeted this out, the higher seed in the first 4 quarterfinals in the SWAC are actually 3 and 5 combined against the lower seeds that they're playing that day. So it's not like these lower seeds are shit teams against these upper seeds. It's a full of parity. I ended up on Southern, Texas Southern, and Southern are kind of your, I don't know, your blue bloods there. They both have 9 conference titles all time. Technically, they are the winningest teams in conference history, and they're both very good this year. So stuck with Southern, and from Southern, who is playing in Birmingham, Alabama, we'll head out to California, where we're dangerously close to actually playing. These are. Is this qualifying or are we playing?
Oh, we're playing.
This is first round. This is first round. Okay.
First round, Indian Wells talked about outrights yesterday. Go ahead back and watch the show if you want to see that. Bedosa, Jabor, Towson, and Teichman looked at some quarters prices. Just really struggled in general with the value of that. So, I always, one of the ways I like to evaluate it is I'll look at the quarter price and then look at the outright price and try to figure out what kind of the 2 money lines look in between. Because you think about it, a full tournament outright is just the quarter parlayed with the semifinal and the final. And as I started to look at some of those, I think, on players like Coco Gauff, on players like Amanda Anisimova, players that I was thinking about looking at, I think we're going to do a much better match to match. So look for that match to match. Again, I wouldn't hold it against you if you just grabbed a Gauff quarter outright, maybe an Anisimova quarter outright. I think they're kind of the 2 players that still have some value who can pop in really tough spots in the draw. But gave out outrights yesterday. Have a 5-pack of first round picks. The schedule just came out here, so I'll try to flip through and tell you when these are as we're going here. Starting with Naomi Osaka playing Sloane Stephens. We're going to take Sloane Stephens here, and I grabbed this at plus 190. It's gone against me a little bit. They had I don't know if you heard about this, Andy. Actually, Brett asked me about it. He asked me about if we're going to get odds for, quote, tiebreaker 10. Do you have any idea what that is?
The tiebreaker 10? Is that what we're doing in the third set?
No, there was a little quick event. They're trying to come up with new ways to play quicker formats of tennis.
Yeah.
And there was an event yesterday where players played a tiebreak to 10 instead of best of 3, just a quick tiebreak to 10 for everybody. Osaka played, and I guess she didn't look terribly interested in what was going on, and maybe people got excited and they've been backing her. I'm trying to figure out where the Osaka money's coming in. It's the first time we've seen her in quite a bit. Stephens, she's got a tournament win already this year. She looks like she's playing better tennis. Her level of interest wanes, but this is a tournament where she's generally locked in. Here in Miami is her chance to make a run, get some points, and start to push back up the rankings system. And honestly, I can't back Osaka at minus 265 right now without playing her. Don't mind the over 2.5 sets off, but I think there's a chance that Osaka goes down here. There's rarely 3-set fights when she gets knocked out this early here. So Stephens plus 190 or better. Again, you're going to do better on me there. Right now, taking a look, Kostya Zanevska over again. I'm sorry, Sloane Stephens. That'll be tomorrow. This will also be tomorrow as well. Kostya Zanevska found over 21. Again, it was a cheap 21. There's some 20.5s out there. I have this one at 21.5, almost 22. Again, 2 players that I think are a little more level than what the match line says. I mean, Kostya, a much better player overall, but not sure she should necessarily be this big of a favorite, but not sure I see an edge necessarily enough to play Zanevska. This should be a very competitive match, and I think in general we'll start to see some overs this week on these courts. You tend to have a little more competitive matches, so that'll be tomorrow afternoon. Begu, this is Alto's tomorrow afternoon. I hope I have one today, honestly. They just put out this schedule while I was talking about this earlier. Bego, that'll be tomorrow. Anything plus 105 or better. She's playing Katerina Siniakova. Not terribly sure why Siniakova is the betting favorite here and has remained such. I mean, Bego, I was able to grab a plus 105. There's plus 100s out there. Anything with a plus in front of it looks good to me. I have her favorite in this match here. So, anything with a plus number looks solid to me. Again, that'll be tomorrow afternoon. Madison Brengel playing on Lee, the match of Americans. This will be tonight, Andy. It should be around 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to grab over 20 and a half. Seeing 21 start to pop. Grab a 21 if it's standard juice or better. 20 and a half at minus 20 or better looks fine to me. Again, two players. Lee, a solid server, generally holds well. Brengel playing much better tennis. Considered a bet, honestly, on Brengel here, but the bigger edge again in the over in a match that I would hang a 21 and a half. And then Burl Kalanina. This one, I believe, is this afternoon. This is a match where it's just going to kind of be a mess. Yeah, this will be this afternoon at 4:40. This match is going to be a mess. This is one where I thought about betting over 2.5 sets, just didn't love the price. Take a look. If you have over 2.5 sets here at like plus 165, plus 170, that's worth a bet. I just wasn't seeing that. So over 21 at minus 15 or better looks great in a match that just, again, should just be not fun to watch. I won't have this on unless, maybe I want to hate watch it for a little while. You know how much I love breaks.
And then in the chat there, over 2.5 sets. Did you get to that?
For Stevens, yeah.
Okay. What was the
Maybe
price?
just take Stevens to like win a set or something. It just, if Osaka goes down early, she goes down quick.
Yeah. That's fair. Like if it's the semifinals and she was down a set, you'd see some fight. But when she is struggling early in a tournament, there is some quit in her. Like he's like, all right, regrouping for Miami. Like it's weird. There are some things you can pick on them about some of these top players, how they react to this, especially different. Like you said, early in the tournament, it's just gonna be a rollover. The Players Championship, I'm adding some outrights. I'm working on an article. I know I say that a lot, and I only publish an article like every other week anyway. But with BetSperts Golf launching, I'm on the hook for sure to actually put up uh, an effing article today. I'll have some matchups to add to this. I'll have some first round matchups. I think I have a couple first round leaders I'm going to be looking at. I have a couple outrights that I'll be adding to the Jason Day and John Rahm prices from Monday. And then probably some props here and there and some positional stuff, top 40, top 20. There's a few guys I'm definitely looking at there. But for today, a couple matchups that right away popped off the screen when I started running numbers and looking at some guys that I'm backing and or fading. And Zalatoris is, I've struggled with him a little bit of a love hate, I suppose, if you want to call it that, just based on some of the things he does on the putting green that drive me nuts. But putting, that's the lifelong question is like, is putting predictable? Can you glean anything from that? And like the answer's always been no, it's not predictive. It's not sticky. It's not something you can hang on to going forward. But there are edge cases of people who are really bad or really good at putting, and that needs to be added in with a little bit of context. I don't think Zal is really really bad at putting. He just has a bit of the yips, which is a problem. The way they have this tournament now, moving it from May to March, the greens are different because you're not going to have the same kind of grass as we've seen here at Sawgrass in the past. So these should be, I mean, quick, but easy to putt on. These should be smooth, flowing, not bumpy like you see with the West Coast BOA. This should be an easy putting surface. And the rest of his game is just so high ceiling that I don't understand him being a dog to a guy like DJ, who I don't want to say he's like checked out at all, but sometimes I do question his motivation, although this is a tournament with a shitload of money to be had. So I have DJ and Zalatoris basically the same guy except for putting. So if putting doesn't even out here, this is a bad price, and Zal should probably be, minus 110 against him. And then Shane Lowry is a guy that everybody suddenly clinged on to because of the weather going bad. I don't know. I just have him rated well. It's funny how many people have made the case like Lowry in bad weather, and he is going to lose some strokes off the tee, but he's a decent ball striker. Otherwise, great with the second shot. His putting is right there, and I have Adam Scott. Just his ball striking numbers don't jive with this course. Like it's not going to be a course where somebody who is middle of the pack or lower, just in general as a ball striker, is going to succeed here. So Lowry over Scott -120. I may even lay a stroke and a half here if I find a better price and add to this a little. So those two, more golf out later. And Dan, I'm sitting here and I can't scroll up in the chat. What did we determine was my Champions League
Saw some
bets?
Messi anytime goal scorer. Real PSG under 3. That was one that stuck out to
Ooh,
me. I
two
was
people
thinking
said
about
that.
unders there as well. I mean, that
All
one,
right,
it's in Madrid. PSG's got the 1-0 lead. And I mean, if PSG scores a goal, they park the bus, right?
I think so. And it's a decent price on 3, so 2 different people, house cat that bets. Is that a literal house cat? That's awesome. And the half both said PSG. PSG under 3 is a play then. I'm putting that in. I'm
Done.
gonna find a price. And then City to win to nil -110. This
I
this
was
is
hoping for a City team total over 3, but I have to go 2.5 or 3.5.
what a weird game. Like they're at home and they're up 5-0 on aggregate. Like what do they have to
All
play
away
for?
goals.
So yeah, it actually might be an under spot anyway, and just
Well, Sporting
because
would have to win, what, 6-0 to advance?
yeah, and
Or
I
5
don't
5-0 and then whatever the shootout is or whatever?
I don't think they have the chops to even
No, I
get 2
don't.
goals today. So I kind of like that City to win to nil -110. I think it might just be City puts in the thing about a subpar City lineup, or if they go with some younger players getting some playing time, it's still a way better lineup than Sporting. Like they're
And they're
just
gonna
the
go
best
hard
team.
because it's their
They're just
chance.
yeah, this is the best team in the world. So if they go hard and they get caught on the if they get caught on the counter a few times, like that Sporting back line is going to get exposed again, and yeah, it probably just ends up like 2-0 City reserves over Sporting. So I think I can get down with that. I haven't seen lineups yet, but yeah, that was an ugly
City
tie
and the
between those.
under. Let's see if I can find that. There's got to be a combination somewhere.
And then yeah, Sporting will be without 2 starting midfielders. I think in the last game too, when I looked at them in the first matchup between these two, they had some injuries. I'm like, oh man, City might just romp, and I think that was where I took City to win at halftime, and then got crushed the next day. So City to win to nil, maybe an under, but definitely PSG under is the official chat play. I'm rocking that one. Alex, appreciate it always. Dan, thanks for producing. Chat, thanks for showing up. Anyone who hits a thumbs up is probably going to do well in betting today. Remember that. That's what helps you get along, and we'll catch you here tomorrow.